Now let's go through a similar process for this piece here, and maybe let's see if we can get this piece, and also it looks like the muzzle extends on back into the gun here. So this looks like it's a cylindrical piece underneath that cover on the top that we can also extend all the way back. So let's work on that. This right here looks like it's just a cylinder, and then I think we can extrude a couple of faces down to get this piece here. Now once again, I'm not going to get every single little tiny detail here, but I do want to represent this piece and get as much detail as I can out of it. So I'm going to go ahead and click here to bring the cursor, and I'll press Shift A to create a new cylinder. Over here, I think we should probably reduce the amount of edges. We're still going to need quite a few. Let's take it down to 24. And then I'll scale it down, rotate it, RX90, and there we go. Now let's try and get it in place and to the proper size. I'll scale in the Y with S and Y. Now one thing I didn't do is I didn't change the cap fill to triangle fan or to nothing. So I probably need to tumble around here and select this face here and delete it, and I'll select this face here and delete that as well. Alright, so back to our side view in Z for wireframe. Now let's take a look at how we can create these pieces here. I think if we grab a few of the faces down at the bottom, maybe 4 of the faces like this, then perhaps we could hit E for extrude and then click. Now I'm just going to drag on this manipulator and pull it down just a little bit. Now that we have that there, I'll select these 2 faces here, and I'll change my pivot point to individual origins so they will extrude out in this direction. So I'll hit E and they'll each extrude out in their own directions like that. And then perhaps I'll go straight down now. I'll go back to median point, which is the default, hit E and pull straight down now like that. So now I'm just trying to get this piece right here. I'd like to flatten these up some, so I can press S and Z to scale in the Z axis, and that kind of flattens them up as I bring the cursor to the center there. Now let's go back to the side view and see how we did according to this view. I'll hit the Z key, and it looks like we could bring this down just a little bit more, maybe right to there. Now perhaps I could insert an edge loop with Control R and click and bring it right up into here. And now if I switch back to face mode and hit the B key and border select just this bottom face right here, and then hit E and extrude straight down again, now we can kind of get that shape there. I'll insert an edge loop here, as well as an edge loop right on this one as well. And now if we go back to the side view, go back to face mode, I'll border select these 2 faces here. And if I hit E and extrude these out, we can begin to get this shape here. However, we need it to be more triangular. So one thing we can do is switch to edge mode and select these 2 edges here, and let's try and dissolve those edges to get a triangular shape here. So I'll press X, and instead of deleting the edges, let's choose dissolve edges, and there we go. So that removes the edges but maintains the polygon once it's gone. Alright, so let's go back to the side view here and take a look, and it looks like there's one little last piece right down here. Right here. I'll go ahead and try and grab that as well. So I'll scroll the mouse wheel to create 2 edges. I'll move them over just a bit. And let's grab this face here with the B key, these 2. And now I'll press E and pull straight down like that. Let's see how that worked. It looks like these pieces are kind of flared out just a tiny bit. I'll go ahead and do those now. Let's try that. I'll just scale them out in the X just to flare them out just a little bit. Now we have our general shape of the piece. However, we're going to need to now close off these edges here. So if I go back to edge mode and choose this edge, I can hit E and then click and then S and then scale in like this just to close that off just a little bit. Now I didn't close it all the way, and that's okay. I'll come over here and choose this edge, and I'll go ahead and hit E and click and scale in like this. There we go. I'd like this piece to be a little smoother, kind of like these pieces up here. Have the edges and polygons not be so sharp and harsh. So to do that, of course, we're going to have to add a subdivision surface modifier. I'll take the views up to 2. I'll smooth it over here. And let's now add some edge loops and see if we can get some sharper, more realistic edges. So if I tab into edit mode, I'll begin adding a couple of edges, maybe one up here, maybe one back here. Let's see how that works. That works pretty well. Now down here, we're going to need to add some edges to sharpen up this indent here. So perhaps I'll add 2 edges here and then scale them in the Z, SZ. Bring them out like that. I'll do the same thing over here. There we go. And it looks like maybe we can use one up here as well. I'll try this. Now for these pieces here, since we have a triangle here, our edge loops won't go through triangles. They will only go through quads or 4-sided polygons. So if I press Ctrl R, you can see that that edge loop does not go through the triangle. So what we can do is actually add some edge loops on this side instead. So maybe I'll create 2 edge loops here, and let's create 2 over here. And that helps hold that edge just a little bit better. Now down here at the bottom, we should probably insert an edge loop here, and we can insert an edge loop here. There we go. So there's that piece, and as I said, it's not exactly the same, but it gives a good impression of the detail of that piece. Let's take a look at this piece right up here, this cylindrical part, the extension of the muzzle. I'll go to the side view again and hit the Z key, and for this, let's go ahead and just click in here, create a new cylinder. I'll take the edges down to maybe 12. I'll change the cap fill to nothing, and then rotate around the x-axis. There we go. Now I just need to put this in place and extend it on back. So I'll put this here, tab into edit mode, and I'll switch to vertex mode, and I'll just border select these points right here. Now before I take this back, it looks like there's a little indentation right here. I'll go ahead and work on that. I'll hit E and bring this in just a little bit. I'll scale it in with the S key, and then I'll do the same thing here and scale it out. There we go. And then I'll just bring this all the way back. It looks like it could go right back into here. So I'll just hit E for extrude and bring it all the way back right into here. All right, so now let's go ahead and add a subdivision surface modifier. Take the views up to 2 and smooth shading over here in the tools panel. I'll go ahead and add another edge loop here to hold that a little bit better, as well as here. There we go. All right, I think we're coming along pretty well. In the next video, let's take a look at creating this piece right here, as well as the sight and this panel right up on top of this cylinder right here. So that's coming up next.